All right, guys, today we're going to continue working with composite shapes. And composite means that we're putting multiple shapes together. Yesterday we worked with mostly the easy formulas, triangle and a square, rectangle. Today we're going to add some other shapes that we have worked with in the past. So we're going to start with this first one here. Make sure you printed the notes off and copied this down so that way you have these to be able to do the assignments that you'll be doing going forward. So composite figures are two shapes that are put together. And to continue that, we've got this shape here. And most of us can probably see this is probably maybe a basketball court, a free throw line, different kinds of things like that. So what you guys need to know here is let's go ahead and separate our shapes. We have got a half circle, and we have got a rectangle. Color our shapes. Then let's go in and let's label the different sides. So we know that the bottom down here is 8 feet, so the top has to be 8 feet. We know that this side is 12. We really don't need this size, but you can go ahead and write it. And if this is 8 feet, we need to be able to calculate the area for both of these. So the two shapes that we have a circle. So let's start with that circle first. So we're going to find the area of the circle. Shape number one. So to find the area of a circle, and like I said, keep things organized, because here in a little bit we're going to have several shapes to put together, especially on your assignment that you're going to be working on. So make sure you're keeping things neat and organized. So the area for a circle is pi r squared. Well, I only gave you half of the circle. This entire part of this circle right here from one point to the other point is the diameter. So that means that half of it is the radius. Well, if the whole thing is 8 feet, that means that the radius is 4. So now we have enough information to plug into our formula. So I didn't give you the area. We already know that pi is 3.14, and we know that r is 4. So it's really good to, on the side of wherever you're working, write down what I've given you or what you've been given in the question first, and then plug it into your formula. All right, so I didn't give you the area, but you do know that pi is 3.14, and I gave you that the radius is 4 squared. So let's just use our order of operations now. This is just basically an equation to solve. And so you've got 4 squared, which is 16. And then you've got 3.14 that you've got to multiply with that. So we're just going to solve it. 3.14 times 16 is going to give you 50.24 feet squared. So that is what shape number 1 is. That's the area for that one. All right, shape number 2. Shape number 2 is a parallelogram, and so we know to find the area of that, we take the base times the height. I didn't give you the area. The base is 8, the height is 12. So the base is 8, the height, why did I do that? All right, base is 8, height is 12. When you multiply those two together, you get 96. And that's 96 feet squared. So 96 feet squared. And then what we do is we add the two together to get the total area. So the total area is going to be is where I'm going to take the 50.24 and I'm going to add it to 96 and you get 146.24 feet squared. That's your total area. I'm just going to double check it because I want to make sure that I have done this right. All right, and then 4 times 4 is 16 times 3.14 is 50.24. When you add those two together, you get 146.24. There you go. All right, so inside your notes, we're going to start with that first shape that we've got. And the first shape is just like the one we just did. So let's go ahead and label our shape. We have got shape number 1, which is a parallelogram. And to find the area of the parallelogram, you take the base times the height. Then we've got shape number 2, which is a half circle. All right, so now let's go into our shape and let's put what we know. So this side over here is 6 centimeters, so that means this has to be 6 centimeters. And that's really all we really need. So let's start with that first shape. Put the stuff that I gave you. I didn't give you the area, so we're looking for that. I did give you a base, which is 12. And I did give you a height, which is 6. I know this sounds kind of repetitive, but putting this information on this side kind of helps guide you because if you put down what you know, then you can plug it into the formula. It's not required, but I do strongly suggest it, especially if you're looking for the base and the height of something or a base 1 of a trapezoid and things like that. All right, so this is just 12 times 6. And whenever you multiply those two together, you get 72 centimeters squared. All right, and we know we're going to need to add that in the end, so that's 72 centimeters squared, or 72. We're going to need to add it to whatever our shape number 2 is. All right, so for shape number 2, I didn't give you the area. We know what pi is. And we know what the radius is. So the radius, just like we did a while ago, this line right here is your diameter of that half circle, and half of that is going to be 3. So your radius is 3. So let's plug in the information we know. All right, that means that I'm going to take 3 times 3, which is going to give me 9. So we're going to have 3.14 times 9. And whenever we multiply those two together, we're going to get 28. We're going to get 28.26. But we've got to remember that is for a full circle. I only have half of the circle, so I have to divide that by 2. And when I do that, I get A equals 13 centimeters squared. That's 14.13. All right, that's my second 14.13. When I add those together, I get 86.13 centimeters squared. All right, shape number 2. We're going to go straight to the middle. I'm not going to do the bottom ones. I'm going to let you do those on your own, and I will post a copy of the notes for you. All right, so we have got to do the same thing. So let's Let's label our shapes. Shape number 1 is this upside down triangle. And so the formula for that is base times height divided by 2. Then shape number 2 is this half circle. So we know that we're going to need to find the area, which is pi r squared. And then in the end, we need to remember to divide it by 2. So maybe just put that in your formula. So that way you know you need to divide by 2. Something to help you remember. So let's go back to shape number 1. We have got 10 centimeters is our height of our triangle, and 6 is our base. So I didn't give you the area. I did give you the base, which is 6. The height is 10. 6h, which is 10. 6 times 10 divided by 2. So that's 60 divided by 2, which is 30 centimeters squared. All right, so now let's do the circle, or the half circle. So I gave you the area. I didn't give you the area. We know pi is 3.14. The radius is half of the diameter. Well, the diameter is this whole thing, so that means that the radius is half of it, which is half of 6 is 3. So let's just plug in our number. Radius is 3 squared, and then we're going to divide it by 2. So that's 9 divided by 2. The area is 28.26 divided by 2, which is 1413 centimeters squared. It's just like the last one. All right, so let's take shape number 1. We get 30. We're putting all of our math skills together that we've learned this year. So adding decimals, multiplying, exponents, dividing, all kinds of different things, following the order of operations. And we get 44.13 centimeters squared. All right, let's move on to the last one. And the last one is 2 different shapes again, but this time you have a quarter circle. All right, so you've got a quarter circle. Formula for that is pi r squared divided by 4. So you get that one part. And shape number 2 is just a rectangle. All right, so let's go back to shape number 1. And shape number 1, I didn't give you the area. You do know that pi is 3.14. You know that the radius is this part of your circle. Because if I were to finish this circle, that circle would have 4 pieces. It would have 4 pieces. So the radius is 8. All right, let's plug all that in. 3.14 times the radius, which is 8 squared, divided by 4. Area is 8 squared means 8 times, that means 8 times 8, which is 64. 3.14 times 64, sorry. And when we multiply those out, I think I may have made a mistake on my notes, but I just want to double check. 3.14 times 64, 296. But I only want one piece of that whole circle. That's for the entire circle. And I want one piece of it, so I'm going to need to divide it by 4. And when I do, I get 50.24. Notice how we use the same numbers almost over and over again. So that's the area of that part of that circle. And shape number 2, I'm going to need to move it. Shape number 2 is base times height. The base is 2 or 20, it doesn't matter, because you're just multiplying those numbers. So 2 times 20, that gives you 40. And now you just need to add those together. So 50.24, shape 1 and shape 2, add them together. You get 90.24 centimeters squared. All right, so I would like you to finish the next 3 that are on the bottom of these notes. And then you can go back and look at my notes to see if you've got them accurate or not. And then that'll help you on the assignment that you need to do for Monday.